So, I was very proud of myself. I uploaded the newest version of the Noble Knight Guide, looked back, patted myself on the back, and went away on vacation. And while I was away on vacation, Konami slaughtered the deck. The most recent Banlist, getting rid of Aurorodon, was a double-edged sword. It's something I've wanted for a long time, but it killed the deck in its current form from having any form of competitive viability. So, we need to figure out what to do now. And the Noble Knight community, as always, has really stepped up and been investigating dozens of different options. We don't really have a solution kind of ironed out yet, but I wanted to put this out there to kind of discuss what the problems are and what I've been looking into to solve them. Hopefully this will prompt other people to think about it, more ideas, more development, more innovation, and we'll get something eventually. Once a list is finalized, I'll update the guide proper, but this is going to be more of an informal kind of peek at what I've been doing with it. Before we get into that, though, I did have something else I wanted to say first. This will only take a moment, but I am uploading this at the start of Pride Month, which means you're going to be seeing a lot of people going online, making calls for activism, calls for speech, calls, to vote, to demonstrate, do all sorts of things, and all that's great, all that's lovely. People really should be the change they want to see. But I actually wanted to say something a little different, and that is that sometimes you don't have the energy to do that. Sometimes it's too big of an ask for whatever reason where you are in your life, and you don't need to feel guilty about that, because there is something you can do that's small and easy, but makes all the difference in the world. We are in a political climate right now that has many people who are LGBT scared and feeling alone and isolated. And it doesn't help that you go online and you just see vitriol and hate, and it can really do a number on you. And I speak from first-hand recent experience when I say that when you're in that state, nothing is more valuable than knowing you have friends and family who support you and will be there for you for whatever you're going through. So the message that I want to leave people with going into this month, and really for your life, is if you want to be a good ally, sometimes all that means is being a good friend. If you know someone who's going through this sort of thing or anything and needs someone to just be there for them, be that person who can listen and understand and accept, and that really does make all the difference. And if you can do that, you might just save their life. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the deck. So we lost Aurorodon, and the immediate problem with this is that we lost the ability to go from Assault straight through our Firebrax lines into a broad negation board. In fact, we lost really any effective way to generate multiple negates consistently off of very few cards. And there are two different ways you can react to this. You can look for alternate combos, or you can look for an alternate game plan. The more Fire Warrior focused decks have definitely leaned into the combo thing with their Doppel Warrior routes that they've been investigating. I am not as big a fan of those for this deck, so I have actually been kind of looking in two places for inspiration. Back towards the old classic game plan of just set up resources for a turn 3 kill, and I've been looking at the way I've been playing Plunder, which is my main competitive deck lately, and how a lot of its plays are more smaller interactions, different sets of interactions that create mid-range boards, but really it's all about getting the opponent down to a more simplified game state and grinding it out. And I kind of wanted to look at that. I wanted to delinearize the deck and focus on a couple of different interactions that we could build in. So this involved, obviously, we cut out all the big combo pieces from the extra deck and added a little more utility, a little more going second removal right here. I don't know how long that'll stick. Engine-wise, unfortunately, the Therian engine, as far as I'm concerned, is just not a viable option right now. The loss of the Aurorodon routing made Regulus harder to drop, and Bull, while still great going second, the spot is more valuable now because we really need to play with more cards in our hand. Instead of actually going with the Adventure engine, Adventure has a surprising amount of synergy because you can use it the way most people do, get the Griffin, but you can also use it to grab a Fire Warrior that you can drop for free, which can lead to Assault plays, and you can use it to get a Noble Arms readily available for board resolutions. So I added that. Mill 9 is gone. And so that was the play to summon Gearfried by sending 9 equip spells from your deck. The reason that's gone is because we need our Assault summon much more often now. We can't combo off just Assault and a tuner. With an asterisk, there are plays we can do using Assault and Renaud specifically as the tuner. And there's plays with like Assault, a tuner, and another thing. But because we need our Assault summon a lot more often to have our end board, Mill 9 felt risky, so right now we're only accessing it through Hard Draw or through Ogier Renaud. So Ogier, normal summon, Mill, and Gearfried, and then add it back. Will that stay? Maybe. Cutting back equips was also kind of important to fit the Brave engine, or Venture engine. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, this deck is really in the early stages, but what are we looking at? So I was looking to build a deck that had a couple of different small plays it could do turn 1. I really felt that having something you could do off just Assault was important, so I have opted for a Dagda Scythe play, because Assault on its own is Scythe Lock plus Baron, which is not bad, actually. I mean, it'll beat a lot of decks. And it's a relatively... We wanted to run Baron anyway, because she's just a useful synchro to have, and just Dagda and Scythe is a relatively low investment. We also have plays that are Hulk, summon Ogre, and then leave a body on board, and then Hulk is going to go into, if it's a level 4, TG for a pop, or if it's level 5, Riser sailed into 3, you can send Aquamancer, so prime that for next turn. And then you can make Charles that way, which means your Assault Surge has to be Roland, so he's back. So a couple different smaller lines of play. We generally still have 2 disruptions per pretty much any hand, which is not terrible, but we do use a lot more of our hands, so we're looking to be really careful with our resources. We're especially looking to maximize resolutions of Boars or Ogier if we have to mill once again. Custenan's back, just at 2. I didn't have space for the 3rd, because this build focuses a lot more on the ability to drop bodies onto board, and have Custenan is made live by the Adventure engine, so he's pretty cool. You can also just leave him on board as the level 4 to go with TG into Charles, so that's pretty neat. Yeah. Ogre is a hand trap, but good against Adventure, but also because we're summoning off of Hulk. Yeah, I mean, the ratios are still up in the air, very, very loose. We're playing around with it. Going second's a little rougher now. We're very heavily reliant on getting into our kings, which is another reason why we're going Custenan, and kind of using other bodies outside of that to kind of bait disruption. You can try and push the Hulk line. I've thought about adding a Selene line into the extra deck to go into access code. I don't know how necessary it is though. Plus Selene's expensive now, so I'm probably gonna sell mine. Yeah, sorry. You can see it's we're kind of in the experimental phase, but it's not terrible. King Custenan is still great at clearing threats off the board. We've got the access code. I mean, I would say the deck is not that much worse than it was. It's just that you have to work a lot harder for the same wins. So I've actually got a couple of replays I'm going to show to kind of just demonstrate how I've been playing the deck. So yeah, cut that so I'm a little bit. So here, I actually already had that, so I got the Gearfried, and they're going to show the Just Assault line. So Renaud, you can also get Durandal if you didn't have the Oliver, and get a second Renaud, but you just need a tuner here, and then yeah, Dagda. And I actually messed this up, unfortunately, but it's gonna be fine, because yeah, that destroyed that. Otherwise, so you'd pop that, but luckily he dusted it anyway, so it's fine. Not the greatest showing, but it is what it is. The reason I actually like this replay though is because even though the game plan did not go off, like he completely stopped it, and I did not play it the way I should have. I should have just fired this stuff earlier. it shows our ability to kind of kick into that grind mode. Striker's a great deck to face with this because it's a mid-range deck at its heart. So, we really get to see the strengths of our grind. I've always enjoyed facing Strikers. Strikers also really don't have a great way to deal with this particular setup. Alright. Man, this is going to be... You can really see that the kings just generate crazy advantage. Okay, so to actually see the game plan go off, let's look at this one. I believe we're going to go for a Boar's Resolve play here. And, Boar's into OA is such a classic line for us, but it's every bit as good as it ever was. Once again, just generates so much advantage. We absolutely love having it. And the cool thing is that we can Magician Pop. Yeah, he just immediately scoops. It's branded, so he didn't really want to deal with that. The boards are definitely a little more compact. Custody locks me from doing a 5x play here, unfortunately, or I would have. But Charles is more competent on his own than people give him credit for. He's a sticky monster. And when you already know that the hand is kind of meh, as we knew in this case, it's okay to pass on just Charles. I did mess up here, though. That was entirely my fault. but with the power of once again, it's fine. Right. And one more I wanted to show. And this is going to be another scythe play. He's going to burn those imperms very poorly. I have no idea why I did that. And here's a pretty basic setup. So we have disruption out by the ogre. We have the ability to make our Charles. Him being stuck as a 5 was unfortunate, otherwise we could get the TG for the extra back row pop, but it is what it is. That's why I prefer to have Oliver as my tuner, to get rid of that equipment when I'm done. But, you know. So, you can see, we still have the ability to really kind of spiral up into bigger boards off of our setup. That hasn't changed. I haven't even gone into the Brave stuff here. I didn't need it. So the deck is, I don't think the deck is solved, but I don't think the deck is dead either. We're working on it. Yeah, once I've spent a little more time with the deck, kind of refine this list down to where I want it to go, I'll make a more proper guide on it. But I just wanted to throw this kind of sneak peek at it up there, make sure people know that we are still working on it. We're gonna solve the deck. It's gonna happen. That's all.